Is America really protected by an invisible doom, or is it all just a strategic theater? In an age of hypersonic missiles and AI warfare, is the Golden Dome a genuine missile defense shield or a calculated geopolitical bluff? Namaskar and welcome to another episode of Global Focus, where we decode power, policy, and perception. Today's topic is as bold as it is urgent. America's so-called Golden Dome. Is it a genuine layer of defense or a grand illusion meant to deter adversaries without firing a shot? To help us break this down, we are honored to be joined by Dr. Adityanjee, a globally respected strategic affairs expert and president of the Council for Strategic Affairs. Dr. Adityanjee, welcome back to the podcast. It is always a privilege to tap into your deep insights.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Sinha, for inviting me yet once again on your platform, Global Focus. I'm pleased to be here to discuss this concept of the Golden Dome
Thank
ballistic missile shield.
you. So nice of you, sir. So my first question to you is the Golden Dome just a rebranded Iron Dome, or is it the US crafting a new missile defense narrative for global dominance?
I think we need to understand what is Iron Dome, where it is operational,
Yeah,
and what is proposal for Golden Dome. Uh, these are for different countries for different situations.
right, sir.
Iron Dome has been operational in Israel since 2011,
I see.
and it's been funded quite a bit by US. Almost $2.6 billion was funded by US over a period of time. It was started because there were, attacks on Israel's territory from Gaza Strip by Hezbollah, mortar attacks, artillery shells and rockets, Qassam and Katyusha rockets.
Right.
And, during the first Gulf War, there were Scud missiles coming from Iraq.
Yeah,
So, perceiving that threat, the Iron Dome was developed by Israel's military, by Israel aerospace industry and Rafael Advanced System.
yeah.
And interestingly, initial name chosen for Iron Dome was Golden Dome,
Oh, I see.
but they changed it to Iron Dome because it appeared that in public perception,
Yeah.
Golden Dome would be very ostentatious,
Hmm.
like the arrogance of Israel. So they changed it to Iron Dome. It's a very small, system compared to the concept of Golden Dome.
I
It is short range projectiles, generally less than 99 miles in range.
yeah,
And Israel has, at this point in time, for Iron Dome, 10 batteries. Each battery has 4 to 5 launchers, and each launcher has around 20 interceptors.
mm,
The interceptors use Tamir missiles,
yeah,
uh, which each costs almost 150,000.
yeah,
So the 10 bed, it's like all weather system, it's mobile, it can be, relocated kind of thing,
hmm,
has an efficacy of almost 90%. And it basically protects the densely populated areas. It will let, certain missiles go through if they
yeah,
are not, you know, you don't want to waste $150,000 interceptor
I see.
for a $300 projectile or a rocket.
Yeah,
So it has that kind of thing. So in Israel's situation,
yeah,
it is perfect. It is not geared towards ballistic missiles,
hmm,
if you understand, or cruise missiles.
yeah,
Whereas United States has already a ballistic missile defense shield a BMD shield. It's not that US does not have. In United States, from the time of Ronald Reagan, when he proposed so-called Star Wars or the SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative, there has been steps, actual concrete steps to develop a national ballistic missile defense shield. And they already have what is called THAAD, which is Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System. This system is fairly accurate, uh, but it actually detects and deactivates or destroys the missiles in their terminal phase. And it's at high altitude, so it protects larger areas. US also has Patriot missile batteries.
Yeah.
Now, in contrast to THAAD, Patriot missile batteries are actually point specific or location specific. They have shorter range, maybe up to 99 miles or 150 miles kind of thing.
Yeah.
And these actually detect shorter range projectiles and missiles. So
Mm-hmm.
US has a multi-layered ballistic missile defense shield.
Yeah.
Now, how Golden Dome is different from it, we will discuss that. So when Trump came into his second term in office on January 20th, 2025, he came with a flurry of executive orders, and on January 27th, he issued an executive order called Iron Dome for America. Now, this set forth, it was at only conceptual level that they should have an Iron Dome defense shield, ballistic missile defense shield for US.
Mm-hmm.
And then on May 20th, the first concept paper was revealed, which does not give much sort of details. Now, you need to understand that this proposed Golden Dome is space-based, not ground-based.
I see.
That is the difference. It purports that the sensors,
Mm-hmm.
the detectors, the trackers, and the interceptors
Yeah.
would be space-based. So they will use a constellation of satellites in the outer space that will detect the threat, that will continue to track the threat,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of inactivate or destroy the threat.
Mm-hmm.
So, unlike the THAAD,
Yeah.
which kills the incoming ballistic missile by colliding against it, it's only kinetic, there's no explosive in it.
Yeah.
Patriot missiles have explosive in it, so it destroys by exploding the explosive.
Mm-hmm.
These are all ground-based systems
Mm-hmm.
or sea-based system. Golden Dome would be a space-based system, and instead of actually countering a ballistic missile in the terminal phase, it will inactivate it in its boost phase. In first boost phase is like first 30 seconds to 2 minutes
Mm-hmm.
when it generates a heat signature.
Yeah.
So the trackers and detectors will detect this heat signature, even if it across the world, because you are monitoring from satellites,
Yeah.
not from ground-based detectors. So in the first 20 minutes, a ballistic missile is launched.
Mm-hmm.
It will detect the heat signature. It will detect the location.
Yeah.
It will calculate the trajectory,
Yeah.
intended target,
Mm-hmm.
and then it will destroy. So it will be the initial boost phase, because after boost phase, there is a gliding phase and then the terminal phase. So third is terminal high altitude area defense. Contrast to that, Golden Dome would be in the initial boost phase.
How much time it will take to destroy the target?
Look, these are concepts.
Uh-huh.
It's not proven right now. Let me explain it to you. These are concepts, and United States is not going to give all its trade secrets in this proposed project.
Yeah.
The way it is stated that it will cost around $175 billion per United States president, but Congressional Budget Office has calculated that it may cost anywhere from $161 billion to $540 billion over a period of 20 years. Because it's not just the initial overlay, it is also continuous replenishment of satellites because satellites have a finite life.
Right.
So if you have, let's say, 200 satellites dedicated to this Golden Dome, some satellites will, self-destruct after maybe 10 years or 15 years, whatever the life of the satellite is, then you have to add another satellite. So it will require a layered effort over a period of time. And interestingly, when this was proposed, the Golden Dome, since you said how it is different from Iron Dome, the initial name suggested was moonshot.
Uh,
And then the Secretary of Defense felt that that was a cheap term, moonshot. So there were three names suggested: uh, Silver Dome, Golden Dome, and Platinum Dome. And of course, US being US and Trump being Trump, the name chosen was Golden Dome. So right now, it's only in the proposal phase.
okay.
Even if this proposal goes ahead and Congress approves the budget or whatever funding is required, per Trump's plan, it will be operational by end of 2027. Some Pentagon reports suggest that a demo model or demo, proof of concept would be practically available by end of 2028 by the time Trump finishes the presidency, second presidency. But it's important to realize that US has been taking steps for a robust national missile defense shield. And most of these national missile defense shields are multi-layered and they take into consideration the rising contemporary threats. So
Is-
the threat that US is facing is not just from Russia or China. The threats are coming now also from North Korea and Iran, which have developed ballistic missiles. So US wants to become quote unquote fortress America that can shield any
yeah.
ballistic missile attacks, whether they are, subsonic, supersonic, or hypersonic. So they want to take into consideration also the, supersonic missiles, which are 5 times the velocity of the sound.
So we can say that this is not designed for the global influence only. This is actual for defense utility.
I think it will serve multiple purposes. It is to protect the homeland of America,
Yeah.
and it will also be a signal. The signal is that you cannot penetrate this fortress America, the Golden Dome.
Mhm.
So, whatever number of your nuclear weapons or intercontinental ballistic missiles are there,
Yeah.
they'll become useless. So, why do you want to persist in that? So, there's a signaling. The other thing is that, the adversaries might become bankrupt trying to match the technology.
So how?
What happened to Soviet Union that it became bankrupt financially and dissolved. So US has always used that strategy that you beggar thy neighbor.
Mm. So how this is shaping perceptions of Indo-Pacific, NATO, and West Asia?
Look, the negative reaction has come only from the CERN countries. CERN countries are China, Iran, Russia, and North Korea. Rest of the world has not sort of commented on this because A, they have other things to bother about. and US being the superpower will likely to maintain its hegemony
yeah,
forever. So they'll continue to do things that will maintain their military readiness
mm,
as well as dominance.
yeah,
And it will not be, if you talk about global geopolitics,
mm,
there's a 1967 treaty,
yeah,
outer space treaty, that bans placement of nuclear weapons in the outer space.
yeah,
Since 1980s, the United Nations and CD, the Conference on Disarmament, has been trying to negotiate a
mm,
yet to be signed treaty called PEROS. Now, PEROS stands for uh, preventing arms race in outer space.
yeah,
It has not been negotiated. Also, China and Russia have jointly, over several years,
mm,
presented draft versions of a treaty called PPWT, which is Preventing Placement of Weapons Treaty in Outer Space. Uh, you need to understand that US has consistently opposed either PEROS or PPWT. I mean, if you are peace loving and you want to prevent arms race or weaponization of space or militarization of space, you will consider having a global treaty that prevents arms race in the space. But US wants to maintain its supremacy. And again, in 2002, there's a bilateral treaty between United States and Russia, and prior to that, Soviet Union, that was anti-ballistic ABM treaty, anti-ballistic missile treaty. US withdrew from it in 2002. Uh, so US always takes steps
mm,
that are to maintain its sovereign
mm.
military strength and prevent emergence of a military rival.
So is the US using Golden Dome to militarize alliances and influence global defense spending?
Uh, I think the question is a little bit silly. Militarize the alliances. Alliances are all military alliances. If you talk about NATO, it's a military alliance. So why do you want to say a militarized alliance? US is part of so many military alliances. Uh, Alliances are already militarized. The issue is militarizing and weaponizing the space
Yeah,
and potential for a space warfare, because if you have defensive capabilities that are space based, if you have interceptors that are space based, satellite based, you can have offensive weapons and nuclear weapons that are space based also.
yeah,
So, what this will do, this will spur countries like Russia and China to weaponize their space commands
mm,
or activate their space weapons commands and develop space-based weapons. There are already allegations that Russia already has space-based weapons, uh, which are satellite-based.
yeah,
There are four countries that have ASAT capabilities, anti-satellite capabilities that can destroy satellites in space. Of course, using ground-based sensors or lasers, or in case of Russia, satellite-based interceptors
yeah,
that can target the satellites. And these are United States, Russia, China, and India. So right now, these technologies are not very widespread. The moment you start using space or weapons placement for interception,
mm,
do you think Russia will keep quiet or China will keep quiet? I mean, these are serious rivals to United States. They will follow the lead. It happened about nuclear weapons race. United States was the first nuclear power. It used nuclear weapons in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It forced Soviet Union, followed by China to develop nuclear weapons, and of course, United States allowed its own allies, France and UK, to develop their own nuclear weapons. So there will be a space weapons race if Golden Dome concept is operationalized as planned.
So how is this shifting global defense procurement ecosystem?
Kindly rephrase your question.
Uh, this the global defense procurement ecosystem is there. So is this going to impact that system?
See, defense procurement system, the countries I mentioned, they are the ones that sell weapons to others. If you look at, but none of these countries will send the most advanced weapons to other countries.
Yeah.
United States has offered to share the Golden Dome protection to Canada,
Yeah.
provided it becomes the 51st state at $0 cost,
Yeah.
or if it pays $61 billion to United States so that it can get protection. But if you are trying to protect the US landmass from space-based uh, satellite system, uh, the landmass US is contiguous with Canada, and they may need some Canadian satellites to help them. So right now, the way it is planned, it will be for US. It may have to additionally cover Canada because of physical contiguity. You have, let's say, Seattle, Washington, or Albany, New York, which are closer to Canada. You will probably need some input from Canada as well. So it is not clear which other countries will, be part of it, but primarily it is for United States mainland fortress America.
So does the Golden Dome signal the start of a new Cold War style defense missile race?
Look, Cold War 1.0 is over. We all know that.
Yeah.
There's already a Cold War 2.0 between US and China. Let's not deny that. There's already a Cold War between US and China. And of course, the reactions from North Korea, from China, from Russia are strong, although Russia has given a milder reaction compared to China. China has told the United States not to develop it, but China itself is a hypocrite. For years, they
Yeah.
kept on saying that they will not participate in any kind of Star War uh, weapons race. And then when they became economically stronger, they developed their own national ballistic missile shield. So China may say something just as a tactical response right now that don't develop this will weaponize the space, this will, you know, encourage nuclear weapon race in the space. Do you think China will keep quiet? No, China will start developing its own space-based ballistic missile system.
Hmm.
So yes, it will spur a different kind of weapons race, which will be in space. The connotations are very, very serious
Hmm.
because if you place something in space, that remains forever. When China did its ASAT test in 2007,
Yeah.
there were 3,000 objects or debris that was released in space, and they orbit the Earth. And that takes years or sometimes even decades for them to self-destruct. So if you have interceptors in space and they intercept ballistic missiles in space, and let's say if the ballistic missiles have nuclear weapons, what will happen? Radioactive contaminated material will be orbiting Earth. There'll be radioactive radiation surrounding the Earth. So there are certain implications for the entire humanity because it will not be just selective against China or Russia. You may have radioactive radiation over entire Earth.
Yeah.
Uh, so let us see how this proposal comes about.
Yeah. So in the era of artificial intelligence, hypersonic missiles and swarm drones, is the Golden Dome already strategically obsolete?
No, swarm drones, you just saw what Ukraine did in Russia, in Siberia.
Yeah.
It's a totally different way, you know. Drones usually escape any kind of ballistic missile shield.
Hmm.
You need different kind of interceptors for drones, which are ground based.
Hmm.
You may have anti-aircraft guns, which India used in Operation Sindoor. You may use some other systems. Uh, so defense of any country is multi-layered, multi-domain. You are not going to waste an interceptor that is space-based in trying to control a drone, and drones do not have long range. Since United States land mass is of continental proportion with only two countries, one is Mexico, second is Canada. The possibility of US being attacked by swarm drones either by Russia or China or North Korea is zero. Unless they smuggle large quantities of drones in the mainland United States somehow,
Yeah.
which Customs and Border Services will intercept.
Yeah.
So that's the answer. Hypersonic missiles, well, Golden Dome envisages that they will be able to detect and destroy hypersonic missiles. That's the concept to protect, United States landmass from cruise missiles, hypersonic missiles, IRBMs, ICBMs in the initial boost phase from wherever they are launched, and that's why they want the space-based system.
So how adaptable is the Golden Dome in a multi-domain warfare landscape?
Please repeat the question.
How adaptable is the Golden Dome in a multi-domain warfare landscape?
Look, I repeatedly said it's a concept proposal.
Yeah.
You cannot talk about actual effectiveness on the ground till it is concretely operationalized. And at this point in time, United States will not release the actual technical details. It will be stupid to do so. No country would do that. When Russia tested its oceanic missile, hypersonic missile in Ukraine, they did not release the details. They just said that they had sent a hypersonic missile without actually explosive.
Hmm.
So we cannot speculate or we cannot surmise everything how effective this would be or how effective it is in this kind of situation because it's just a concept.
Right. Right. So, what do you think? Will nation trust such systems or focus on offensive deterrence?
It is essentially for defensive purposes, but if you have that capability, it can also be used for offensive deterrence. If you have that capability, you can use it anyway.
So that was all for today. As we conclude this thought-provoking discussion, one thing becomes clear. In geopolitics, perception can be just as powerful as actual defense. Whether the Golden Dome is America's ironclad shield or a psychological deterrent, it has already reshaped strategic thinking across capitals, from Moscow to New Delhi. A big thank you to Dr. Adityanjee for guiding us through this layered conversation. To our viewers, if you found this eye-opening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay informed and stay sharp. Thank you, Dr. Adityanjee. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Hari Prakash Sinha, for inviting me on Global Focus to discuss this concept of global Golden Dome. It will spur some kind of, outer space weapons race, that is for sure. And countries like China and Russia will develop their counter systems. And if China develops this kind of space-based system, it is going to force India to look at the options.
Right.
Independent options, not based on US or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like India developed its own national ballistic missile defense shield in the form of Akash Tir,
Yeah.
supplemented by layered defense from S-400 system. The implications for India would be if there's a actual outer weapon space race between United States and China,
Yeah.
India will have to take independent, domestic, self-reliant efforts to protect Indian landmass
Yeah.
from an adversary that may share its technology with the adversary on the West. So there are implications. And I think one should be always prepared, be always eternally vigilant that it may not just be a sideshow or just virtue signaling or anything like that.
Yeah.
It has long-term implications for national defense.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.